Good morning, everybody. So nice to have you join us. I'm Matt Molina. We're excited to have Sergio Ruzzier join us and read from his great book, The Quiet Boat Ride, and maybe the party as well. We are NYC H2O. We are a nonprofit organization that provides environmental education programs. And I'm joined today by Sergio Ruzzier, the author of The Quiet Boat Ride and the Party and other books. David Chichuka is our assistant director, and Lana Rinsler is our communications director. And so we're excited to have everybody here. For those of you who are just coming in, welcome. I'm going to say it a few times. We're going to give people a few minutes to hop on in. We're excited to have you join us. Again, I'm Matt Molina. I'm the director of NYC H2O. We're excited to have author Sergio Ruzzier join us. Sergio is the author of the Fox and Chicks books. The first two are out already. If you don't already have them, you're going to love them, so you should get them. The third book is due out in May. Is that right, Sergio?
It is true, yes, and it's called A Sleepover and Other Stories.
I'm excited about it. My son loves these books. We read them over and over and over again.
I'm sorry for
in fact, I've adopted some of the characters. In fact, my son has adopted Chick, and I am Fox. And so
who chose who it was? Who was who?
Lewis chose Chick, and so
so there was not much choice. Yeah, okay.
Yes. So good morning once again, everyone. It's great to have so many people join us. I'm Matt with NYC H2O. I'm joined by author of The Quiet Boat Ride and the Party, Sergio Ruzzier, who's coming to us all the way from Italy, a small town in Italy called Bologna, where the lunch meat Bologna comes from, and but he lives outside the town, up in the mountains.
Yes.
I'm also joined by David Chichuka, our assistant director, who leads our field trip programs, both in person and online, and Lana Rinsler, our communications director. So we're real excited to have everybody. We're going to give everyone another minute to get to come in, and then we're going to get started. So I see people are still coming in, so I'm going to repeat myself. Welcome, everybody. Again, I'm Matt Molina. We're excited to have author Sergio Ruzzier join us. Sergio is the author of Fox and Chick, the Fox and Chick books, and he's coming to us all the way live from Italy, from a town not far from Bologna. David Chichuka, our assistant director from H2O, is here with us. And so is Lana Rinsler, our communications coordinator. So thanks everybody for joining us. We're excited to have so many people, and we're excited to see your drawings. And we're also excited to learn about Sergio's artistic process. So we're just about ready to get started. We ask that you stay muted for the reading, and then we're going to read one of the stories. So for example, we're going to read the Quiet Boat Ride, and then we'll read, there are three stories in The Quiet Boat Ride. We're going to read the first one, and then we'll stop and ask if folks have questions. At that point, we'll ask you to unmute yourself and ask, so you can ask your question. Okay. So without further ado, I'm excited to introduce Sergio Ruzzier, the author of the Fox and Chicks books. The first two are out. The first one is The Party. The second one is The Quiet Boat Ride. The third one is due out in May. And Sergio is an author and illustrator, which is unusual because usually children's books creators do one or the other. So Sergio does both. So he's super talented, and we're super excited to have him join us today and learn about his artistic process. And we're also super, super appreciative for him taking the time to do the reading with us. Sergio lived in Brooklyn, here in New York City for more than 20 years and still comes back to the city when he can. And but now he lives in Italy, where he's originally from, in the Apennine Mountains, in a small village there, next to a town called Bologna. And you may not be familiar with Bologna, but I'm sure everyone has eaten bologna lunch meat, and that's where the food originated from. Okay, so without further ado, Sergio, we welcome you.
Hi, thank you so much. Hi to everybody. Yeah, no, 2 years ago I came back. I moved back to Italy from Brooklyn. I really love Brooklyn, living there, New York City and everything, but I was a little tired of living in a big city. I grew up in Milan, in Italy, which is also a big city. Then I moved to New York when I was 26, another even bigger city. I was a little tired. I realized that every evening, going back home from my studio, I felt like really tired. And I said, am I just me getting old? I'm not that old. So I thought maybe I need some fresh air, I need some nice views, big skies, and I liked old houses. So I bought, with my wife, I bought this old house in the Apennine Mountains, as Matt said, and it's a very old house. It's 500 years old. And I really like it, and we are fixing it while we live in it. And it's a beautiful place. And besides Bologna, from Bologna, the area where we live is exactly where the Parmigiano Reggiano, the Parmesan cheese, comes from. And it's really delicious here. And so, as Matt said, I'm gonna read to you from this book. First, it's Fox and Chick, The Quiet Boat Ride. And it's, how do you call it? It's a book for kids like you who read already on your own, or you want it to be read to you by your parents, by your teacher, by a friend. And there are 3 stories, and they are in comics, in comic form. So I'm gonna put on the image on the big screen so that you all can read it very well. But while I'm talking, I'm just showing you a few things. See, there are the balloons, the panels. So this is a story all told in comic form. I'm gonna start with the first story, and then I'm gonna stop. And if you have any questions, any things that you want to say, things that you liked, things maybe that you didn't like, I would love to hear from you. So let me open now the file on the screen, and I will start reading. All right, so this, as everybody knows, so I'm sure this is the end paper. So it's what's in the inside of the covers. You open the book, the first thing that you see, it's these end papers. And I would like you to notice all these fishes, because there is a reason why. So you will realize that later. This is the title page that is called The Quiet Boat Ride. See the names on the left to Sophie, Brian, Eddie, and Johnny. Those were my friends and colleagues, and we were all sharing a studio in Brooklyn, in Gowanus, close to the Gowanus Canal, close to Park Slope. I don't know where you guys from in Brooklyn, but we were all living in Brooklyn, and we were all sharing a studio together. It was very nice to be with them. And now I have a studio for myself here, which is also very nice for different reasons. This is the contents, and the first one we're going to read is The Quiet Boat Ride. Look at those numbers. Of course, the numbers are the number of the page where each story starts. And close to the number, there is a little icon, a little drawing. And one is a strange monster with red fangs. And there is a slice of cake for chocolate cake, which makes sense, chocolate cake, a slice of cake. But then the sunrise, for some reason, has a hammer, and you will find out later why. Oops. The quiet boat ride. What are you doing, Fox? I'm going for a quiet boat ride. Can I come too? I guess it doesn't have to be quiet. Can I be the captain? We don't need a captain chick. Captain chick. That sounds good. What does a captain do, Fox? A captain sits still and quiet. I'm not the captain anymore then. Are there sea monsters down there? And in the next page, wait. You see the sea monsters that Chick is imagining. Look at these guys here, these weird fish-like creatures under the water. I am not fond of sea monsters. Oh, don't worry, Chick. This is a pond, it's not a sea. Sea monsters only live in the sea, clearly. Maybe there are pond monsters, who knows? Are there pirates in this pond? Look at that. It's a big pirate ship. That everything that every good pirate should have. Swords and knives, the flag with the skull and bones. They really look like dangerous pirates. I don't trust pirates. Oh, don't worry, Chick. There is nothing to plunder on this boat. I'm going to ask you later if you know what plunder means. What if we get shipwrecked? Look at that. The boat broke and it's going underwater and they're stranded on an island. I would hate to get shipwrecked. Don't worry, Chick. We could swim to shore. I don't know, Fox. This was supposed to be a quiet boat ride. A quiet boat ride was my plan. Are you kidding me? Sea monsters, pirates, shipwrecks. Wait, is it? Yes, land, land. Thank heavens. Smooch, smooch, smooch. The chick is kissing the land because he's so happy he's finally safe. These quiet boat rides can be very stressful. And this is the end of the first story. Now, let me turn off this one for a moment. And I have a couple of questions for you. And then if you do have questions about this story, I would be happy to answer. Okay. The first question was if anybody knows what plunder mean, what to plunder mean. When Chick was upset, was afraid of the pirates, he said, I don't want, I don't want the pirates to plunder our boat. No, actually, plunder, it's Fox that says plunder. It says there is nothing to plunder in our boat. So I would like to know if anyone knows what plunder is.
Okay,
then,
so
yeah,
so raise your hand or
Ethan, I think raised his hands first.
Okay, go ahead.
Plunder means to do not worry.
And I didn't hear,
Say it one more time, Ethan.
To do not worry. There's nothing to worry about.
Okay, that's probably a very similar word. It's a very similar word, but it's ponder without the L. I think that's what you mean, to ponder. Maybe. Anybody else has another idea what to plunder mean? Max Neff, I think might know.
Which one?
Why don't you say what you think it means?
Yeah. to
So what do you
plunder.
do?
When the pirates assault a ship or a boat, and what do they do usually? They take things, they steal from the boat or the ship that they have attacked. That's what plunder means, right?
That makes
And
sense.
I want to ask you something else. When we see all those monsters under the sea that Chick is talking about, are those monsters real? Yes, thank you. Are those monsters real? Let's see who wants to answer that. Aiden maybe wants to say.
So, they aren't real.
They are real. So do you think that
Like,
Fox
I thought that it was so funny that he imagined a huge one-eyed monster with a mouth that was open and to more than half its body size.
Yeah. And so clearly these animals, these monsters are what Chick is imagining that is under the water, right? But my question, if these were real, could be though also about Fox and Chick. Are Fox and Chick real? If the monsters are not real, are Fox and Chick real? I don't know. Matt, do you have a question, an answer for that question? If the monsters are not real, are Fox and Chick real?
Does anyone want to answer that? Talia, what do you say? Talia, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. What do you think? Talia, can you hear me? Go ahead. So what do you think? Do you think Fox and Chick are real? No. Okay.
Well, okay. Then it's very. I have to say that I don't even have a question, an answer myself to that question. It's a very difficult question. It's very philosophical. It's a very philosophical question. Anyway, you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to read you the next story. Okay. And then maybe we can talk a little bit about that one as well. Now, let me see if I can do the sharing without too many problems. Matt, is this all right?
Yes, I can see the pages.
Okay, I'm scrolling down to the next story.
We just passed chocolate cake.
Yeah. Okay. I know that I see what I'm supposed to see now. Good. Okay, this is the second story. And it's called Chocolate Cake. And look at that house. Guess who lives in that house? It's either Fox or Chick. I have the feeling that Chick is a little bird, and usually birds live on the trees, at least they nest there. So I guess that is Chick's house. So there is his house there is a ladder, and there is a little box with a nice ribbon. Let's see what's in the box. So Chick sees this package, this box, and says, "Oh no, I knew this would happen." Chick, why are you so sad? I received this box. Why don't you open it? I'm worried. It might be a chocolate cake. That's what I'm worried about. Oh, I thought you like chocolate cake. I like chocolate cake more than life itself. So why don't you open the box? Because every time I eat a whole chocolate cake, I get very sick. You don't have to eat it all. I don't? You could share it. I could? Open the box, Chick. I don't know. What if there is no chocolate cake? Chick, there is a chocolate cake inside that box. How do you know? Because I brought you that box. Good cake. I think I could have eaten the whole thing by myself. I'm glad you didn't. And that's the end of the story, Chocolate Cake with Fox and Chick. And I wanted now to stop on one image because I have things to ask you about that. Chocolate cake. Okay, let me see. Okay, yes, here. Okay, I'm gonna unmute. Look at this page. I'm gonna read it again, the text, because the question that I have for you is about this dialogue. Good cake. I think I could have eaten the whole thing by myself. And Fox says, I'm glad you didn't. Now I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm back. Hi. So now I have a question for you. Why do you think Fox said, I'm glad you didn't? I am glad that you didn't eat the whole cake by yourself. Let's see who knows, who or who has an idea. It doesn't have to be, maybe there is not only one answer, there are more than one answer.
Okay, how about
class? Matt, I cannot see all the faces, so if you want to choose who wants to answer.
Sure. How about class from 721 in Queens?
Hi, I have a student, Ahmad, who would like to answer that. Go ahead, Ahmad.
Wonderful.
The cake is this cake cake for to eat then.
It's too much cake to eat?
Yes.
Okay, he said it's too much cake to eat.
Exactly, because he had already said, Chick, that when he eats a whole cake, he gets sick.
He gets sick.
Right. So when he says, oh, I could have eaten this delicious cake all by myself, Fox says, well, I'm glad you did not. Otherwise, you would have gotten sick. That's why. Does anyone have any question about this story or even the one before before I go to the next story? Or something you want to say about these stories? Again, Matt, you go ahead because I don't see all the faces now.
Yes, thank you. I'm looking. Just if anyone has a question, please raise your hand.
How about Hugo B? Hugo B, would you like to unmute yourself?
Yes, I just recognized in the end of the story that that chick had that chick had like a big chair, which seems a little bit odd because she's a small chicken. He should have gotten the stool, and Fox is bigger, so he should have gotten the bigger chair.
I'm glad that you noticed that, because I did that on purpose to make it a little strange. I like to make it a little off. The same way that house on this tree branch is all slanted and doesn't seem very comfortable. I like to draw these things like that. I don't even think about that too much. They just come out like that. But I'm glad that you noticed it. If you had to draw it, Hugo, if you had to draw yourself, would you make it more appropriate? Would you make Chick sit on a small chair and Fox on a bigger chair?
I would make Fox sit on like a teeny tiny chair and Chick sit on like a chair the size of my entire apartment building.
Right. That's what I couldn't fit all of that in that drawing, but
I mean, sometimes illustrators don't fit all of their drawing.
It's true. Sometimes they crop it so that You can tell what's there, but you don't have to draw it all. It's also because we're kind of lazy, so we don't want to draw the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's why. Thank you. That was a great answer.
I'm actually a really good drawer myself.
I'm
Oh,
sure you
excellent.
are.
We look right, and I'm glad you reminded us, Hugo. So we're excited to see everyone's drawing at the end of the book. But I see somebody's hand up. Is that Miss Raza's class? Or Maria Alvino? In Maria Alvino's class? I'm asking you to unmute and
Yes, can you hear me?
yeah,
I have a student that has a question for the author.
wonderful.
Wonderful.
Please.
Natalie, go ahead.
Hi, Natalie.
A little louder.
Where did you get the ideas to make the story?
Where did you
Where
get?
did you get your, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Where did you get the ideas for your stories, she said.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. That is probably the most difficult question for an author to answer, because I honestly I don't know. Often for each book, first thing, for each book is different, and especially for this book where I have 3 stories, each one came from a different place. And in general, when I'm working on a picture book, the idea comes in a way that you don't really expect it. Maybe it's a little drawing that you did on a piece of paper years ago, and you see it again, it's like, oh, this is an interesting character. Maybe he can have an adventure, and then you think about the adventure that that character can have. Sometimes it's a word, or it's a sentence, it's a piece of conversation that is in your mind for a while, and then you realize that that can lead to a story. You never know. In case of Fox and Chick, it's a little easier, just because I'm learning to really know the characters, how they think. So sometimes I can just think about it's kind of a more mechanical way. Like I think about any subject, for example, a cake, in this case, a chocolate cake. What could happen with a chocolate cake? Well, Chick clearly is someone who really enjoys sweets, I guess, because of his personality. So I imagine that someone gives him a cake, he finds a cake, and then you build it. I built it like that. Like how something strange would be to find a box with a cake under your home. And what would the reaction of Chick be? Knowing Chick, he might react in a way that you don't really expect. And that's what happens. He's upset, he's sad, he's nervous because there is this cake there, and we don't understand why. So all these things come almost naturally while I think about them. I don't really sit down and write a story. It's like kind of, I do a sketch, I do some drawings, I do some text, I think about what could happen. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes I don't have ideas. Now that I was working on the 4th book of Fox and Chick, because there will be 4 at the end. The 3rd one is coming out in a few months, and the 4th one next year. But I said, my God, I have to come up with 3 stories with Fox and Chick, and all the stories that I come up with are not very good. And I was a little desperate because I had to deliver it. Like when you have a homework and you have to deliver it the next day, but it doesn't come right. And you're a little, and then out of, I don't know what, finally, a few days before the deadline, I got the ideas and they worked. So I'm very glad that it happened. And later, if we have time, I'm going to show you some sketches for this 4th book that I'm talking about. It's going to be called Up and Down.
That's great. Sir, do you want to take one more question now, or after the next story?
If there is a question, sure. Otherwise, I can go to the next story.
Okay, I think Justin had a question. Justin, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, so my question was that, well, accident plumber, well, for the other story, accident plumber, like, I love to get scared of. And my question for this one was that, how do you make the drawings for the book?
Yeah. Well, usually what I We can talk about that here, I guess, now, right, Matt?
Whatever you like, Sergio. Sure,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm very
So,
curious.
okay, my drawings, the first thing is I start with little sketches in pencil. When I think about the story, I start writing down, sketching the characters, the settings, the objects that are in that story. Really like quick drawings just to remember what I want to draw in each page, and in this particular case, because it's a comic book, in each panel. You know, the panel is those little boxes where the action happens. And then when I'm happy with those sketches, when they're all done, I put them together, and then I draw them again on a piece of paper like this, that is like watercolor paper, so paper that is good to draw on with ink and watercolor, paint in watercolor. It's like a cardboard almost. And it has a very nice texture. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little rough. It's a little rough. And this is the original. This is the original, that final page that I showed you earlier. See? So I do from the black and white, you know, from the black pencil sketch, I go to a more finished pencil drawing on this paper, and then I ink it. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to leave a second. And I ink it. So I trace it again with this tool, which is, do you guys see it? A nib, a metal nib, see?
Yes.
That I dip in the ink. This is open, I go like, I dip it, and then with this tool, I can trace where the pencil was. So the line is nicer, is warmer. I can have different thicknesses in the line. So I can do shadings, I can do I can show a little bit of three dimensions. And then once I'm done with the ink, I color it with watercolors. And the watercolors are these. This is it's a very messy one, but this is actually what I use. These are the brushes of different sizes. There are some very thin, some thicker, and this is the watercolors that I use. And that's how I do my drawings, almost all of them. I use this technique. Pen and ink and watercolor, but always starting with pencil. Doing sketches, quick sketches. I'm going to show you now. This is a sketch of the story that I'm working on now. So this is the first pencil sketches that I do when I create the story. And I already write down by hand the text, so I know how big the balloon, the speech balloon, needs to be. So that then when they print the book, there is no risk of having not enough space in each balloon for the right amount of text that I have to put there. See, this one, it only says wheel, wheel, and it's a small balloon. Here there is a lot of text, so I needed a bigger balloon. So I do that in the pencil, so that once I go to the ink I cannot erase anymore. Once there is ink on paper, I have to make sure that every line is exactly where I want it to be. That way, when it's all done in ink, I watercolor it, and then I send it to the publisher, who scan it, and they scan it, and they reproduce it, and then they print it on the books. And I know that it's gonna work because when I was working with the pencils, where I could still change things, I made sure that everything was fitting. That's how I do my drawings.
So cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna read the next story now, maybe.
Great.
The next story.
This one is my favorite.
Okay, you see it, right?
Yes.
We have a couple people with their hands raised. I don't know, maybe they
Oh,
have a question
okay,
about.
we can take a question or two.
Did anybody want to ask a question quickly?
Yes, one of my students wants to know, what's your favorite cake? Is it chocolate?
No, actually, it's I think one of my favorite cakes is meringue cake. Meringue, how you say in English? Meringue.
Yes.
Meringue cake, which is not the soft meringue cake that with lemon that usually you find in diners and stuff. It's like a crunchy meringue with a lot of like almond paste and other delicious things. That's my favorite cake. I do like chocolate cake as well. In the story that I'm writing, the number 4, for book number 4, there is Chick is hoping that Fox has a chocolate cake for him, but he says that he will also accept a meringue cake in case it's a meringue cake, as long as it's large. But it's not a chocolate cake and it's not a meringue cake. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but he will probably forget before the book comes out. Thank you for the question.
Good. And we'll have time for more questions after the next story. So let's read The Sunrise, because it's my
Yes.
favorite story.
Excuse me?
Yeah, there is someone.
Yes, this is Hugo, and I just noticed that Fox's room is mostly empty.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Well,
bec-
we're
that-
going to talk about that afterwards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's because I like empty rooms, but in that way, I don't have to work too much, you know? It's true though. Anyway, good observation though. The sunrise. Ring. Okay, here we see Fox that is washing his face, brushing his teeth, getting out of the house. He's walking, it's still nighttime. And Chick sees him. Chick sees Fox. Where are you going, Fox? To watch the sunrise from a hilltop. But it's so early. That's when the sun rises, Chick. May I come with you? Okay, but hurry. I don't want to miss it. No problem. And you know that when Chick says no problem, no problem. I'll be right down. And Fox is waiting. What should I wear, Fox? Chick, please hurry. Should I take an umbrella? It's not raining, and if it was, we wouldn't see any sunrise. And he waits more. Oops. Should I bring the salami? We'll eat later, Chick. Hurry. Chick, we're going to miss the sunrise. Should I take my hammer? What do you need your hammer for? I can't find my hammer. Chick, let's go. It was such a nice hammer. Where is this sunrise, Fox? Chick, we missed the sunrise. Oh, too bad. What do we do now, Fox? I have an idea, Chick. I like sunsets, Fox. Me too, Chick. I like them even better than sunrises. Have you ever seen a sunrise? This morning, I almost did. And that's the end. Then there is a little last thing here. And it's Chick who says, Fox, I'm ready for another chocolate cake. Okay, this was, now before we start,
I'm eating a
start-
chocolate cake.
you are? Lucky you. Okay, so let's see. Okay, what do you think? I have a question for you before you ask me any question. Okay, why do you think Chick was asking all these questions about what he should take to go see the sunrise? Anyone has a, oh, this is not really a question with a with a right answer or a wrong answer. It just, I'm just wondering what you think. Like when I was writing this story, I go like, I'm gonna make Chick ask this question that seem illogical, seem like they don't have anything to do with this, with the sunrise, but maybe in Chick's head they do. For some reason, he felt like he had to go see the sunrise, for example, with a hammer. But why? Do you have any any answer for that?
It's like Kyle might have his hand up. He might have the answer.
He might, I didn't understand.
Kyle, will you unmute yourself?
I had a question before. So, how much money did you earn by selling this book?
Working on this book, how much money I earned?
Yeah.
I think it was not a lot, but it was enough to pay my rent, actually, right now, my mortgage. So it's my job and I can live. I'm not rich. I didn't make, my books don't make so much money that I can consider myself rich, but at the same time, I don't have to worry about paying my next month's mortgage on the house. So I'm very fortunate. I'm very satisfied with what I made with this book.
Excuse me. I think that Chick kept on asking what he needed. It's because he's never seen the sunset before, and he doesn't know what he needs to bring to see.
Yeah, probably that's very good. You've never seen a sunrise, so that he's completely, I don't know, he doesn't know what you do at the sunrise. You know, sometimes they invite you to things and you go like, oh my God, what do I do there? How do I have to dress? Do I have to put a tie? Do I have to put my pants on? Most likely you have to put your pants on or your skirt or whatever. But yeah, that's a great answer. I like that. He was not sure. And so he was wondering, should I bring a hammer? Should I bring a salami? To, you know, of course, when you go see a sunrise, you need your salami, I think. That was a very sensible thing to say, I think.
How did you become an author?
How I became an author? I think when I was a kid, like when I was a teenager, I really liked, I mean, I always liked comics, even when I was a little kid. And wait, I'm gonna stop sharing so you see my face, which is so beautiful. Look at that. And so I always liked comics. And even though I was not sure that you could make a living doing comics or doing illustrations, but then when I was a teenager, you know, I kind of really looked into it. And I was wondering if I, but it's not that I was drawing a lot, I just like the idea. And I did finally, when I was 19 or 19 years old, I started to publish my first comics on a magazine here in Italy still before going to New York. And I was not, like this brings us back to the question before, I was making very little money with that. So I had to do other jobs to survive, to pay my rent and so on. But I was already publishing something. Then when I came to New York City, I was 26. I realized that they were the publishers, the magazines, the newspapers, they were paying me a decent, you know, not a lot, but a decent amount of money to make drawings. So I started to be an illustrator for magazines and newspapers. And then when my English got better, because of course I grew up speaking Italian, but my English was not very good when I came to New York. It was pretty bad actually. I could read, but I was not really able to speak, to understand what they were telling me. I could read and write, at least. And then when I realized that I could tell my stories, that's what I always wanted to tell stories through my pictures, through drawings. Then I found finally, it was not easy at first, it was not easy at all, but then I found a publisher who gave me a chance to publish my first book. And from then on, I realized that I could make a living with that. And it's sometimes was good, sometimes I was really poor, like I couldn't pay my rent and I didn't know what to do. I was a little desperate, but then I insisted, and you know, with highs and lows, but I was able to manage to go on and do this as my job, my regular job.
That's awesome. That's a great question too.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking that. So, and I think it's inspiring for everybody. Sergio just had a passion and he kept at it. And I think it's a lesson that we can all learn from. And, you know, he wasn't just handed it, he worked hard at it. And he really loves what he did, and he made it into something that he could sustain with a job and share with everybody. So I think that's very special and inspiring.
Yeah, of course, you know, at the very beginning, I was also in Milan. I was working in bookstores and in libraries to survive, to make a living, to gain enough money to pay my rent and to pay for the food that I needed in order to survive. But at the same time, I was drawing in the weekends, in the evenings. I was drawing, I was telling my stories, I was doing my comics, and that's how we started. And I started showing them. And that's very important when you do something. When you think that it's good enough to be shown, then you start to show it to see if you have good feedback, and if any publisher is interested in giving you money to publish, because it's beautiful to draw, it's great to paint and all of that, to tell stories, but you can really make it into your profession if someone is interested enough to pay you in order to keep doing that.
Okay, Lord Jimmy's, I'm leaving.
And it's great to draw and to paint even if nobody pays you, of course. But if you want it to be your profession, then
Okay, everybody.
you need to find someone who gives you money for that.
Beautiful. Is there one more question? Because I think it's time, because I know that we have so many great, talented artists in our audience that want to share their drawings.
I would love to see those drawings.
Yes. Maybe one more question from Miss Raza. Does anyone in your class have a question?
I think they're all set.
Okay. Miss Alvino, anyone in your class have a question?
Yes, all right, we have one question, Jilcy.
Okay, last question, please.
She's admiring his artistic ability. She said the window looks so realistic.
Oh.
Really, I guess it was, she said, how did you do that? But how did you learn to make that window look so realistic and open?
You know, well, that's a very nice comment. Thank you. I'm glad you like my window. I like to look at things. I like to look at other people's drawings. I like to look at paintings. I couldn't afford to go to college when I was a kid. I couldn't go to college. I wanted to go, I needed to go to work. And I wanted to go to work, actually. I was not I didn't love school. I shouldn't say that maybe, but I didn't love school. So as soon as I could, I went to work. So I didn't go to art school, but I always loved books, paintings, sculpture. So I would go to museums. Museums are a great place to go to get inspired. I would look at other people's artwork. I would look at paintings. I would look at old prints. I would look at drawings in books. And I've learned how each artist has their own style.
I have a question.
I wanted my own style. I wanted to draw the things with my personality. And that's what I struggled, of course, because that's what you do when you're learning, when you're trying to find your own way. But I understood that I didn't want to copy any other people's work, because then I thought, if I copy another artist's work, the best I can do is to get as good as them, if I manage. Probably not, but that's the best I can do. I want to do my own thing so that it's really mine and nobody else can do the same thing. It's a little bit like handwriting. It's a little bit like your voice. It's yours. You're not copying anybody else, and nobody else can really copy you. It's a nice feeling when you do your thing.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
What inspired you to become an author?
I think
How
seeing
long
other
did it take to
artists
make the book?
and wanting to make a living doing what I like to do, which was drawing and telling stories through my pictures. And knowing that when I learned that there were people who would make a living with that, I say, oh, this is interesting. I would like to be like that. And it was not easy. It was not easy at the beginning. As I was saying, I had to do other jobs. Were like very good jobs, meaning I worked in bookstores, I worked in libraries, so it was not bad at all. But it's not really what I wanted to do. So I kept I kept trying to draw, to tell stories, and to show my drawings to the right people, meaning the people in publishing, the people at my magazines, the people at newspapers who could maybe be interested in publishing them. And that's but to answer clearly your question is knowing that other people were making a living doing what they like to do, and I say I want to do that.
Thank you, Sergio. That's really interesting and inspiring. So we're almost up to the part where we're gonna see everybody's drawings, and we're super excited about that. But before we do, I'd like to personally thank Sergio, thank him on behalf of NYCH2O and everybody. So can everybody say a big thank you to Sergio for taking the time today to read with us?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mohammed, say thank you.
It's really a pleasure, nothing else but a pleasure.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so we want to see your pictures. So hold them up to the screen.
Oh,
awesome. Oh wow, this is so cool.
I put one up. I put one in the chat room, because I can't hold it up. It's in the chat.
Awesome.
Do you see my drawing?
Yes, is that Hugo?
Yeah, this is Hugo.
Awesome.
Wow.
Beautiful.
It's Hogwarts Castle.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Some people are they're not showing their screen. So just make sure that you're showing your screen. So beautiful. Wow. And if you guys want us to put them on our website, you can email them to us. Or have your mom or your teacher or your dad or your guardian email them to us, and we can share them on our website. And share them with Sergio too.
Can you open the one that I put in the chat room?
Yes, ma'am. Lana, do you see the one in the chat?
I actually don't see it.
Could you try one more time, please?
Is it the one that says Chinese New Year?
He created it with his computer graphics.
Yes.
Wilson, it's yours. I shared, Wilson. Thank you.
Do you see it? I sent it as a file to you.
Well, I don't see it, but if you would also send it to my email address, I would love to have it.
In Mary Alvino's window, the students are still sharing more pictures. That's beautiful. That's so cool.
Very nice.
Oh, I see it now.
Oh, right. I'm seeing it too. Awesome.
I'm looking
Oh.
now at Mock's drawing.
Oh, wow. This is amazing.
The Chinese New Year one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do a quick share. So,
Okay, let me-
so who made the Chinese New Year drawing?
Wilson from 721Q. Wilson, can you say hello, Wilson?
Ah, I'm seeing it now too. Very nice.
Wilson, beautiful job. Thank you for sharing that.
You hear that,
You're
Wilson?
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
He said,
Good job, Wilson. Wilson. Wilson.
Awesome.
You did that all with your tablet or how?
Wilson, how did you make the drawing? With your tablet?
Wilson, go ahead. How did you make it?
Wilson. How did you make your drawing?
Say it and I'll say it.
With what?
With Krita.
Creator on his computer?
Yes, it's a painting program.
A painting program on his computer.
Okay, very good.
Very cool.
Another drawing.
Marie, I see yours. Oh no, Marie, I'm sorry. I don't know who the name of the kid is. Very nice. He's holding it there. If you
Yes.
come closer, I see it better. If you come closer to the camera. Oh, very nice.
He also drew a fox.
Yeah.
You, I love it.
And
Chris, yeah. Show your face, Chris. Right there. There's Chris. It says drawing.
What a wonderful.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Jazia.
Yes.
Can you come
Jasia.
closer to the?
Zoe,
the-
move closer, Zoe. She didn't hear me, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah, no,
Okay, happy B-Day. Well, thank you. It's November 28th, but I will keep it in mind. Matt, we cannot hear you.
Deja, can you come closer? Very nice.
Beautiful.
nice.
And Jasia sharing. So beautiful.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Nice.
Planet, Sun, Saturn. Very nice.
Wow. So beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you so much, Sergio, for sharing
Oh,
with
my
us.
pleasure. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time and everything. It was wonderful to meet everybody.
Really, really a pleasure. And we really appreciate it. Okay, everybody. Take care. Hope to see you at the next one.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.